There.
Okay, welcome to the September 30th, 2025 session of TAPR-HamSCI technical session. My name is Dave, KV0S, and this week I've actually been playing with Phil's K9Q radio parts that are not Whisper Demon related. So I've been playing with the FM receiver, Phil, and I would dearly like to hear how you run the jack service in the background, and maybe we'll get to that in a little while.
Okay.
So next on the list is Nathaniel, W2NAF. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dave. Continuing to keep the projects going along here at the university. I've been working with Steve Serwin and Tom McMahon and now David Themmons. Steve has been writing his HFTDOA project up into a paper that we're working on submitting to the Frontiers special issue for the heliophysics big year. So I'm happy to report that the manuscript is almost to the point where we're getting ready to submit it. So that's moving along nicely. We W3USR participated in the RIDI contest this weekend, and we were on all three. Friday night, Saturday, we had a student and alumnus stay up all Saturday night and operated all night long, and then again Sunday, and we trained some new students and some new alumni and some faculty members on doing RIDI, and I think that went well. Just a lot of those things are going well. My wife and Rachel and my colleague Christine, KE2FDW, they're continuing to work on the magnetometer project today. I met with Bob Enderbitson at the ARRL and Hyomin and Gareth from NGIT. We're working on planning the HamSCI workshop, and I think we finally have some tentative dates for the HamSCI workshop. So it's not official yet, but I think it's now 95% sure that it'll be a little different this year. It'll be Saturday and Sunday, March 14th and 15th. And we'd be having it at Central Connecticut State University, which is about a 5-minute drive from ARRL headquarters, and also at ARRL headquarters. So we'd be doing this in collaboration with the ARRL. So that planning is coming along nicely. And, I met with Jonathan and Elmer. I met with Elmer virtually on Friday and Jonathan Rizzo in person on Friday, and we continued working on VLF things. So just a lot of things going on, and there's even more than that, but that's probably enough for me to talk about. So back to net.
Okay, well, next on the
One
yes,
more
go
thing.
ahead.
Yes, in case anyone wants to buy a W3USR t-shirt or hat, we are selling them. The store closes tomorrow. So if you order today, we'll make you a t-shirt and a hat, and they will ship it to you. So I'm putting that link in the chat. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, fine business. Next on the list, we have Jim, K4BSE. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, good evening. Not a whole lot going on here. I'm kind of in a nursing mode right now, waiting for my knee replacement. And knee's gotten so bad it kind of discourages me from moving too much. But I've got several projects I need to get onto. I just need to push myself a little bit more and do it anyway. Back to net K4BSE.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
And next on the list, we have Clint, K7 OEI. Go ahead, Clint.
Hi, not a lot of not a lot of stuff related to this in the radio. Did do an event where we were part of communications for a 100-mile race in the mountains at fairly high altitude, and we were at mile 84, which meant that I was up for about 42 hours, the 1 hour nap. And I
Oh,
haven't quite
gee.
recovered from that yet. It was like up Friday morning and didn't get to sleep till like 11 on Saturday night. So, anyway, something like that. but it's all fun, and things worked out right. Propagation still works, although organizers' radio systems didn't. They kept running out of data bandwidth, and we discovered there was a busy webcam on the data link, and their subscription was always being gobbled up. So you figured. Anyway, that's about it. So back to you.
Okay. Next on the list is Dave H. W6OQ.
Hey, good evening from California. I'm just here hanging out, seeing what I can learn as usual. Thanks.
Okay. Next on the list is David McGaw in 1HAC. Go ahead, David.
Good evening, everyone. A lot of radio related stuff going on. We had a what we call vintage electronics show last weekend, which used to be the Ancient Electronics Club. Now it's the Vintage Electronics Club, allows stuff through the 70s. And then this coming weekend is our big Near Fest, as we call it, New England Amateur Radio Festival, which is one of the largest flea markets in the Northeast, and hoping to sell more than I buy this time. Trying to clear things out, but we'll see how that comes. And with terrestrial weather-wise, we got nearly 3 inches of rain here, which was a real gift. We're not going to get more rain for a while, but it did put some water in the ponds. And then there is, I think, a geomagnetic storm going on right now. I'm only just now checking where it's at the moment. I think the last I checked, it's going down again. Well, it hit a K of 5, and it was screwing with propagation, but no, I guess no aurora this time. But we'll keep hoping for something. Being the equinox, it's a good time for aurora, but we do need some help from the sun to energize it. So I guess that's about it. Back to now.
Okay. Next on the list is Elmer in 3AGE. Go ahead, Elmer.
Good afternoon. Well, Nathaniel touched it. Work with VLF, so I'll be visiting soon. Parts are on order, so I'll be building some prototype power supply filters. And like I was saying earlier, I'm working on an RX 888 to make it good down to VLF. I'm going to try removing components and improve standard 888 Mark II version, whatever, with what data that I've got here. That's it. Back to net.
Okay. And next on the list is Christina Collins. Go ahead.
Here we go. Hi, folks. Let's see. Radio stuff, as always, an encouragement to send any feedback on personal space weather station features you'd like to see on hamsci.org/charrette. Getting ready to give a talk to the Mercer County Amateur Radio Club at the end of the month. Very excited for that. I'm going to be going to K3LR next weekend or next Friday, along with Gary, to move it from one building to an adjacent building. So looking forward to getting that station into its final form. And other than that, I've been doing a lot of visualization work, putting some things together for an article, and learning how to use web map services to do big visualizations. So some of the things that I've figured out from other projects, I'm finally starting to apply to HamSCI things, and I'm very excited to get some of those features working. So hopefully I'll have some cool visualizations to show you guys in the not too distant future. Back to net.
Very good. Next on the list is Paul, WB6CXC. Paul?
Yeah, let me pull my mic down.
There
Is
you
that
go.
better? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, evening everybody. I've been working on a few things. Been talking with Dave Witten on the 888, a new board layout for that perhaps. Elmer, I'm really interested in what you're anticipating, because those are the same things that I'm certainly looking at. I was looking at the BGA for that FX3. You know, it's 121 pins on 0.8 millimeter pitch, but looks like you can do via in pad on a 6-layer board, and it doesn't cost a whole lot at JLC. And so that would be probably the way, if I decide to just go with the bare chip on the board, try to route those. But it's a lot of wires and not a lot of space. Anyway, so that's interesting. But again, Elmer, maybe you and I can follow up. I'd be curious and looking over your shoulder, or maybe there's something we could collaborate on. What else? I wanted to ask Clint, in an earlier discussion, I'd mentioned on my the time sync stuff, the over the air in particular. I was looking at again, a constant amplitude phase modulation format that sort of was a combination of FM and phase modulation, where you do the phase modulation with a short burst of frequency shift that you know, just enough to swing the relative phase 180 degrees and then back again. Clint, you'd mentioned that that was actually a defined modulation format, and I didn't write down what that was. I'd like to look that up, make sure I'm.
What was that again?
Phase modulation by doing brief frequency shifts.
OQPSK.
I'm writing that down this time.
Offset QPSK. It's a version of QPSK. You take a dB or something penalty, Phil probably off the top of his head, but you do not need any amplitude control whatsoever.
Right, and you reduce the spur content significantly, depending on how smoothly you do it.
Yeah, we used it. It was used. It was commonly used on satcom stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I just was looking for that acronym. I just didn't recall what it was.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
I have a comment about that later.
Okay. Looking forward to hearing that. One last thing, I guess, on my list, for Nathaniel, again, this thing in December, did you want an actual scientific style paper or just the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, or both? I can do any of the above, but curious what you're looking for.
Just the PowerPoint presentation is all that's required.
Okay. Would an actual scientific paper format be of any use, or just not bother with it?
Yeah, don't bother with it for this.
Well, that makes it easy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And back to Net and Phil, I definitely want to hear your comments on that modulation.
Okay. Next on the list is Phil Karn, K9Q. Go ahead.
Oh, what timing. Nothing really to report this week, but answer to your comment. Actually, offset QPSK has no penalty. It has the same performance as QPSK because it's just two BPSK signals on top of each other. What makes it better for practical use is that because only one channel changes at a time, you never have a 180-degree phase flip. So the envelope never has to go through zero. So there will be some amplitude fluctuation, but it's not nearly as much as it would be if it was true QPSK. So you still need some linearity in amplifying it, but there's no penalty at all in using it.
Okay, I'll have to look at that, because what I'm anticipating, it's truly constant amplitude.
Are you thinking maybe of MSK?
No. Well, so the Hughes system, what we used, had absolutely no capability of linear modulation in its PA chain on the remote units.
Is this CPM?
No, they refer to it as offset QPSK. And there's what?
It could always be clipped,
I suppose. Right.
Yeah, it's not true offset QPSK, but yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what they did. It was absolutely limited. You know, their amplifiers were not linear, and that's one of the reasons they were relatively inexpensive and simple.
Yeah.
So
There's also, well, MSK can also be seen as a form of offset QPSK with sinusoids in places of square waves for the two channels. That's why I thought you might be thinking about MSK.
right. They refer to they also refer to a slight penalty as well. Maybe that's, I don't know, that because
Maybe because they clipped it.
it could be. You're probably right. But the takeaway though is the spectral regrowth that you might get from forcing something through a pipe that it didn't want to do was pretty much negligible on a VSAT, and negative 26 dBc was roughly below that. It's gone.
Oh, the noise. Yeah.
Right. So for this application, even if you do grunge it up a little bit on HF, 26 dB is a lot. So
Yeah.
so I think everything.
Yeah, and
should
having a
be still
constant
valid.
envelope signal is really advantageous.
Right. So I think we're still in line, Paul. So I didn't mean to. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, well, back to me.
It's still
Actually.
you, Phil.
Yeah. Let's see. Somebody, you wanted to ask me about running FM demodulator, but I mean, it might be a
Yeah.
little more involved and talk about that later.
Yeah. And my only thing is I started, it works fine, and then it doesn't work, and then it works fine later, and then it doesn't
Okay.
work.
Well, plug D and what's the other one? Those are actually orthogonal. I just use a standard abstraction layer called port audio to talk to the speaker. And
Okay.
I don't really care which you're running beyond that, whether it's plug D or whatever the other one is. I forget.
Okay. Well, we can talk about it later.
Yeah, it should work either way, though.
So are you done, Phil?
Yeah.
Okay. Next on the list is Scott Newell in 5 TNL.
Hey, I've spent quite a bit of time testing the sync recording stuff in anticipation of WWV0 site coming online, hopefully this week. I could use some advice. Is anyone running a 888 site with good CHU reception or one that gets a good mix of WWV and WWVH? Anyway, I'm working on the sync stuff, and that's it for now. Thanks.
What was that question, Scott?
A site that either gets good reception of CHU or one that gets a mix of WWV and WWVH.
Oh, it happens here all the time.
Yeah. I was just thinking George Burkett ought to have a good site for CHU, but
Well, if you're trying to separate two signals on the same frequency, I mean, commonly on the West Coast at night, you'll hear both.
Well, I know that Nathaniel's site, when I was there, I was hearing WWVH, out of Hawaii and
I'm in the West Coast.
US.
And KFS is probably an even better choice since it's
Yeah.
a much more antenna also on the West Coast.
does that answer your question?
Yeah, very helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, and why specifically CHU?
Because it's one of the signals that we're using in the Whispered Haven world, and I'd like to be able to detect the start of it up, just like we're doing with WWV.
Yeah, well, there should be a lot of sites that can pick CHU up. I'm wondering what you're thinking.
Oh, I'd like to get some good recordings to test against cross-correlating with Phil's CHU simulator.
Well, you should start with a really strong close signal before you work on something noisy.
Okay, so who's got a good strong CHU
Find
signal?
somebody in Ottawa or nearby.
Yeah.
New York. I mean, the whole East Coast. When I was living on the East Coast, CHU was much easier to get than WWV. Much of
Yeah,
the
it
time.
is.
Reverse
Okay.
is here, of course.
You could Nathaniel could record it at the contest site. That would be fairly close.
K3LR.
You're muted, Nathaniel.
CHU?
Yes.
It's already recording that.
Okay. Well, can Paul?
What we may have to do though is I haven't updated anything since Bill Engelke did the cutover for the new database. So I may have to go in there and update that to make sure that those recordings are getting uploaded to the new database.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I'm not looking for the 10 hertz. I'm looking for the full bandwidth.
Oh, the full bandwidth?
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, we're not recording that right now, but I mean, we probably could.
And I'm not looking for.
Scott, they're being recorded at 16 kilosamples at all Whisper Demon sites, Whisper Demon Daisy sites, including Nathaniel's, but they're not being uploaded. So you have to log on to the servers and
Right.
go into the. But you have if you have remote access channel, we may not have. You may not have a configuration file to log on to the HamSCI VPN. I don't know. If you don't, we can get you one and you'll have remote access to those recordings. And
Yeah,
all
to
the,
be clear, I'm not looking for 24 hours of coverage either. I'm just looking for a few minutes to check that.
well, you
everything's
get,
right.
well, the way Whisper Demon works is it records every 1 minute long, 16 kilosample files, and it records 1,440 of those each day and saves at least a day's get saved locally. And then it creates and uploads the 10 hertz, drives it from those 1,440 1 minute long full spectrum, but it leaves those full spectrum recordings behind. They're still there until the server
Right.
runs out of disk space. But all of the sites have at least a few days worth of those recordings, and they all include CHU as well. And I can, if they're in the uploads subdirectory or Wave. I'm sorry, there's a Wave-archive subdirectory under Whisper Demon. They're there.
Yeah, yeah.
In that directory tree.
I've seen them.
So if you that's the way every site works. They're all making full spectrum recordings and saving the full spectrums and only uploading the 10 hertz ones.
Probably the K3LR would be a good station to get it from. It's pretty close.
That'd be good. Or George has 3 excellent systems. I don't know how, unless you put a external hard drive on your Whisper Demon system and configure it to record there. Each day requires 68 gigabytes of storage, all right, of the uncompressed, they're actually compressed, but in any case, the full spectrum recordings occupy 68 gigabytes per day. So unless you have a very large root disk or an external disk, which is several sites do, with the external disk you can save. Well, some sites have months. You have a 15 terabyte drive, you can store 3-4 months of full spectrum recordings before you have to flush the oldest ones.
I think Scott said he only needed a few minutes.
Well, they're there. I mean, pick a minute, they're all, the file names include the date and time, and you can find that in the directory tree. So if you need, but Scott, you probably could, there's several that are available. I think you have a certificate for the Whisper Demon VPN, right? You can do SSR to Whisper Demon sites.
I can use the WireGuard tunnel. Yes.
Well, but you go through that and you go to, if you SSH to, you can get to Glenn's and other servers through your, okay. Well, there's 100 sites there that you can access, and we can just pick one that works well for you.
So K3LR or George would be a good one for CHU.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I was asking. Great.
Yeah, the problem with those is those are on a separate VPN. You need a separate WireGuard connection, certificate and connection to access K3LR and to access Nathaniel's. They have their WireGuard. They run on a separate WireGuard server, so they're on their remote access to the HamSCI Daisy sites requires that you have a certificate for the HamSCI VPN WireGuard server, which we can get you. It's not a big issue, but it's a separate VPN network from the Whisper Daemon one. Anyway, we can take this offline. Just contact me and
Sure, thanks.
Okay.
Okay. After Scott, we have Tom in 5EG. Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, good evening, Dave. Everyone in the group, thanks. Just been working on the circuit board for the quad channel receiver and using lots of VIA-in pads on connectors and thermal pads for a couple of the ICs, and layouts progressing, going slow. I'm uncovering lots of interesting quirks in KiCad. I got all the lines tuned for all of the data lines going from the converter to the FX10. I got all those within about 0.2 of a millimeter of the same length, so I think that'll work. And that's about it.
Okay. Then that leaves us Rob Robinette. So go ahead.
I've already taken up my time.
Well, anything you want to report about what you're up to?
I'm working on the server, the new Whisper Daemon server architecture software. And this is one that kind of mimics what I think Bill Engelby is doing, where with the servers, changing the upload to use secure FTP and pre-share keys and so on. So I'm in the process of implementing that, and that's my major focus. Right now I'm can't. Oh, I do want to talk about the Daisy Whisper Daemon Daisy distribution. We can later, but I don't. If you're where are we with buying and staging these Daisy systems that we're going to be shipping? I gather you still haven't received enough RX 888s to do. You have a small set, something like 12 or something of them, but I did get a note from Majid about he was working on, he had some question, but he solved it for himself before I could even answer it. But I'd like to discuss that because before we start building a lot of installing software on those B-links, we should talk about the using Proxmox in order to obtain the security isolation from the host, our host LAN. So
Yeah. Dave, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're doing, or
Well, Paul mentioned it. There's a small group that is looking with.
hold on. Okay,
Huh?
so let me give
Go
Rob
ahead.
a little more background. So Rob, what happened was a couple weeks ago, as I think you know, I had placed orders for all the RX 888s we need. I had done that back in July. I did it again a few weeks ago, I guess in August, and then I found out that the order got canceled. And then I also found out that so I just kind of got fed up with it. And then I talked with Dave Larson here, and who talked with Dave Whitten and Paul Elliott, and they think they're pretty close to having a TAPR RX 888 replacement. So I just said, okay, let's just see if they can do it. So I'm just holding off a little longer. Yes, I have 12 of these systems, but
okay, well that actually that's great. I'm glad to hear that. I wanted a TAPR 888 since I introduced everybody to the 888.
For what it's worth, I'm reluctant to provide a schedule. I don't know how close we are really. I just started looking into it.
Well, you should talk with Elmer. We had a discussion about it this afternoon to be sure that we want to throw out a whole bunch of stuff that's in the 888.
I understand and I agree.
Okay.
But so anyway, I just wanted to put that caveat there. I don't know what the schedule's likely to be yet.
And To be clear, this is still going to be an experimental board for a little while till we get some testing on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'm kind of using, I mean, I have time on the grant. I have at least, the grant's 4 years long. I get, you get no cost extension. And I'm basically using the fact that we have, we've had the problems with the tariffs. We've had the problems with ordering these things. I'm using that as a reason to buy it a little more time to try to get this over the edge.
well, that's great. But what my discussion was really not about the hardware. I mean, it's about the software environment. But if you're not building and shipping any,
Yeah.
then it's not,
Yeah.
then B-links, then it's not a problem. But
yeah, so we are, you are right. I do have a small quantity of like 10 or 12 ARC triplets, and I am distributing them to a few people here and there. So if we do, we can certainly talk about Proxmox and kind of have that discussion in parallel. So
yeah, well, I think I don't know who's tasked with building and configuring, installing, and configuring software on the B-links, but I think it would be wise for us to come up with a build process and environment
yeah,
that utilizes Proxmox, which might make installation even easier because you could just use the virtual machine images that you create once and copy them. So
I agree. I think for Majid's immediate request, if you could just give him the information he's asking, because the place that one is going, it's going to a collaborator at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, who's actually he's a radar signal processing expert, and so we just want him to have one of these sooner rather than later, so that he can actually work with it. So
great.
yeah.
Well, I'm happy to support the current one.
Yeah.
I'm not, and actually for my software, it's invisible. I mean, it's a virtual machine that looks like the bare metal machine. So it's not an issue. It's just that if, you had expressed a concern about the liability issues associated with having a machine that has, root access on somebody's homeland.
Yeah.
And this is a way around it, around that whole.
Yes, and I completely agree with it, and I think we should still move ahead with that too. So
Well, anyway, I don't know who's responsible for building those, but is it you had Jeremy was involved at one point. Is he?
Yeah, so right now it's I think right now work with Majid, and what I'm trying to get Majid to do is I'm trying to get him to document that process. Where is this?
Yeah.
Hold on. Too many windows. I'm trying to get him to document that process.
He seemed to be unaware of Michael's extensive documentation on Whisper Demon, so I wanted to be sure that he.
I definitely told him about it, and I showed him that documentation.
Okay.
But I think Whisper Demon. So yes, I absolutely showed him this documentation here. And this is what you're talking about, right?
Yes. Yeah. Read the docs. Yeah, you got it. And so if he's doing this, it would be great if he finds this is inaccurate or insufficient. It would be great if we benefited from his work, and it would so we could improve this document.
Yes, I agree with that. I think I was also encouraging him to write another manual that has somewhat of a different purpose than this one. So I was encouraging him to work on writing his procedure for installation over here, because and this would basically, the purpose of this document, the PSWS documentation, would be to just basically say, here's how we're setting things up exactly for the HamSCI personal space weather station.
Yeah.
And then it would not go in, like the Michael Howen's document goes into a lot of detail about like how to cover, how to do these.
Yeah, so things that you don't want to have. It shouldn't be that overwhelm
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm trying to get Majid to do here is document the procedure that we are using for the HamSCI personal space weather station. And basically what you're saying, that process, we get that process down. And that's what I want to go into this document over here.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Well,
That's not supposed to replace or, replace or supersede or step on anyone's toes with what's going on over here.
No toe stepping is implied.
Yeah.
I just okay.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that that we don't duplicate efforts and that our documentation benefits is as useful as it can be.
Yes.
So, because it is is the obviously the Whisper Demon docs there are extremely detailed and
Yes.
and oriented toward a Linux and savvy person.
Right. And
so-
I don't think that the documentation I'm looking to put over here would not be for that. It would be exactly what you say of being a process that we would repeat for doing our personal space weather station deployments. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, that was any case. I'm not sure if Majid's the right person to work through that process. But
No, I agree with that, and I'm also in the process of trying to get additional help at the university. I'm working on creating a new position that I might be able to get some additional help with doing this. So
yeah, this is all IT stuff. I mean, there's very little RF, hardware stuff involved in this project. Really, it's almost all. So hopefully, the person is fairly conversant with the Linux systems. That's really. Don't have to be an expert, but you do need to know something about how to not be terrified of a terminal window. That's and a lot of people are understandably are. I'm not.
Yes.
It's not to criticize. I mean, there's plenty of things I don't understand. So it's a matter of familiarity. It's not a matter of intelligence or anything. It's just familiarity. So
we have a lot of old dogs here.
Yeah, well, I constantly try to think through, what assumptions I'm making. I mean, I've been programming for 50 years, so it's really hard to look at to try to look at the perspective of a neophyte and say, am I speaking gibberish to someone? Because, if I talk about DOS boxes, that it may mean nothing to somebody, and that's not their fault. It's my fault for using a term and not, assuming that people understand things. So, okay, well, that was my major concern was, getting us a final procedure for building these these DAISY systems. It's we have. I guess it's still a little bit of my time. I can't. Hopefully we wandered into a general topic, but we do have we got Jerry Butler. Bulger is shipping systems to Ascension and St. Helena, and that St. Helena system is even with all of the RFI is pretty. I think pretty spectacular, and I think there should be. I haven't had a chance because this PSW server has been down. I haven't had a chance to take a look at the spectrograms from it, but it's south of the equator. I see the Whisper reports. There's very 1,600 spots an hour. That's a pretty good. I mean you get top sites get 3,000 spots an hour, but 1,600 and at a southern hemisphere location is pretty darn good. So I think we could get some very interesting observations out of these sites. So
I agree.
So anyway, that burned Paul and I burned up a lot of time with Jerry on that one. It's, finally got him working.
Yeah, Rob, do we know where the whisper sound is going yet? To which island?
It's going to go. It's going to go to St. Helena. There's no ham on Ascension, so
Okay.
so it would be impractical and probably illegal to be operating a whisper sond on Ascension. With so little ability to control the transmitter. Whereas in St. Helena, the equipment is at a ham's home. So he's what Jerry has suggested is that he'd put the whisper sound where the receiver is now, because it's a relatively noisy environment, but it has a fan dipole that's multi-band fan dipole, and then put the receiver system remote to it a couple of kilometers away, and at what Jerry thinks will be a RF quieter site.
Which antenna is going to be used for the receiver?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't. Yeah, I haven't had a lot. I haven't talked to Jerry much since.
So
our,
not one of the probe antennas we've been looking at.
I don't know. He did. He was going to obtain an antenna or his in the UK, and he didn't really. We didn't discuss it. I don't know what antennas he's planning to use in Ascension either. So
Okay. Well,
but he's a smart guy. He'll choose something. I'm sure he could obtain in the UK.
Okay, good.
Let's see.
So
I had one question is AGU plans.
Yes, we are
Yeah.
still waiting to hear back on the final confirmed date. So as soon as
Okay,
I hear that, I will let you know.
Okay, because
It's
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm told it will probably be Monday and Tuesday of
Mhm.
that week, but
Okay, well-
they told me that's not 100% yet.
Well, I think Gwen is waiting on that. I would like to coordinate my travel with him.
Yeah.
And of course you and others. I don't know who else will be there, but it's
Yeah, as soon as I get the schedule, I'm going to contact Lisa and I will have her contact everyone and get everything as coordinated as quickly as we possibly can.
well, I can't. I don't think I can charge you for expenses to you. I'm not presenting anything, but I would. So I need to make my reservations early too.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I said, they said that it's probably going to be Monday and Tuesday.
There, Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. Well, anyway, okay, it's
Yeah, last year I did something where I tried just booking all these hotels really far ahead, and which is a good idea, but I did it with the thought that they'd have a good change policy on the hotel, and we didn't read the fine print closely enough. And then we almost got really burned on having too many hotel rooms, and now so I don't know. So I'm taking the opposite approach, but I don't know if that's the better approach.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I always these days almost always I look at what's the worst case if I have to bail out, and
yeah,
typically I pay extra for the option to bail out early. Let's see what other topics. Yeah, I think I talked last week about multiple 888s. I don't think this is very important for the HamSCI community, but several of our active contributors and sites that I maintain have multiple antennas, each of which has a 888 on it. And sites that are in the top 20, top spotters in the world, almost all of them have multiple antennas. And merge their Whisper Demon merges the spots obtained from each antenna, picks the strongest the set of strongest best SNRs, and uploads it. So heretofore, I've been putting each triple eight on a host, but I've had perfect performance on a B-Link with two triple eights. Plenty of CPU on that. And tomorrow, Lily is going to set up, or Wednesday, Lily ON5KQ is going to set up a B-Link with try to do 4 triple eights on one B-Link. I don't know how many other sites it's relevant to, and I don't know that HamSCI would ever want to do that, right? I mean, is there a reason why we're going to have multiple antennas at a site?
Yes, there definitely would be a reason we have multiple antennas at a site. I think there'd be a real reason about doing things like cross-polarized antennas, or different sorts of arrays to search for angle of arrival. So I think there's all sorts of fancy things to be done for various reasons.
Yeah. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, so I think there's lots of fancy reasons to have multiple antennas for, and then there's also the whole thing of optimizing for different bands. But I think right now I'm just focused. I'm just happy with having one system. I'll be good with that for now.
Yeah. Well,
hey, Rob.
Anyway,
a real quick question, because you mentioned 4 now. What is the power capability of the B-Link to supply all those 888s? I get the CPU. I'm just curious about the power requirements.
Well, good question. I don't know that there's a clear spec. By the way, Elmer, I don't think you're set to use your headset boom mic. Your mic is set to, so I get a lot of room anyway. I don't know. I mean, the AAA consumes 800 mils, I think, is a pretty standard consumption. Others may correct me, but that's what I recall. So, and a USB 1, I think, and subsequent, all they're required to be able to supply 1 amp at 5 volts. So if each of those USB ports is simultaneously, if you could have all 4 ports supplying 1 amp, then you should have no problem direct connecting. But it may be that, I think you have a good point. It may be that if you have a hub, because you're likely to need a USB-C hub to connect up 4 B-Links. That probably have to be a powered USB hub. And I believe Roland, who has a 3 B-Link, a 3 888 system, with a USB-C hub. I think the one he specified was an external powered hub, so that the B-Link wasn't supplying power to the RX 888s. Only the hub was supplying power and signal connectivity, but the B-Link only supplied connectivity. That's my recollection. Roland specified in his diagram that he shared on the Whisper Demon forums a specific model number of USB-C hub that worked for him. And I don't know, Phil, are you still with us? Did you see that? I thought you were going to experiment with USB-C hub.
I've been playing with USB-C hubs, but I'm not sure how they actually, I mean, I get these ones from Amazon. I'm never quite sure exactly what they're doing, or whether other ones would behave differently. Are you talking about data or power?
We're talking about, well, both. I mean, how do you connect up? I mean, the B-Link has only, at least the ones we have a USB-C and 2 USB-As.
Well, actually, they have 4 USB-A type outlets, 2 of which are often blue, but I'm discovering that the color doesn't actually mean anything.
Yes, yeah. Well, different B-Link models have
Exactly. And
different sets of.
I have several models. I don't have the same model,
Yeah.
the same model you do.
Yeah. Well, have you tried using the USB-C port?
Yes, I
I think.
have. I
Okay.
have.
Yeah,
And
I know
through an
that.
adapter, and I've gotten at least one 480 megabit port that way. Because actually all I was trying to do is I was trying to get multiple air spies to run on a B-Link. I don't really try to push it too much with an RX 888. Machine that has RX 888 also has a Rig Expert Phobos, which can run at USB-C rates, but it's not as right now. I'm not running it as in such a demanding or as same high sample rate that I'm running the RX 888. That does work, but I'm over there. I've only got two.
Yeah. Well, I had still have running two triple eights directly connected to the USB-A ports on the front of my B-Link. It's a 5825 B-Link.
And does LS USB-T show them to be on different buses?
Yes. Yes.
There's different B-Links that have different USB buses.
Yeah, I know. There seems to be
And there's some kind of switching that goes on between the connector and the internal bus, but I don't know how that works. It doesn't seem to follow a logical pattern. Sometimes I'll see two get thrown on the same bus while other buses are empty.
Yeah, I I I vaguely recall that I did an LS USB and both of my B-Links were on the same bus controller. So that they were, ID1 and ID2 or something which surprised me. I mean, the bus controller was connected to PCI bus, and it was one of the 10 gigabit. There's two 10 in mine. There are two 10 gigabit controllers inside, and two, USB 2
Right.
controllers for that. And as I recall, the two front panels went to the same bus controller, which is encouraging, which means that, you don't have to have a, AAA, one bus controller for each of the triple eights. So that was encouraging, but to be honest, I've had to put that work aside and work on the servers, which is,
Let me, this is the kind of tool I've been using. Let's see. No, that's not the right window, is it? I can't see which window I'm using. Here we go. I think this is the one. Okay, you see the LS USB-T output.
I see.
Yeah. Now let's see what model is
I
this?
see DU. I see Man Journal CTL on that. I don't see a.
Down at the bottom of the. Well, am I in the wrong window here?
I think you're in the wrong window. I don't see any LS USB in that window.
Yeah, when you do a window share, the thumbnails are too small to tell that you're on the right one.
Yeah. Well, if you select the window, then go to share, it tends to be the first one listed by the dialog box.
So that was just there. I often have a lot of terminal windows open at one time.
I usually have 10 to 20.
Yeah, that's even more than I have. So I often go back and try to clear out all the ones that okay, yeah, I see. It was the same machine, but wrong window. Hold on a second here. Now I only have one left. This has to be the right one. There.
Yes.
Now, let's see. How do we find a model of a B-Link? Because I have several different models. This is
let's see. LS CPU, maybe.
Oh, LS CPU, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Ryzen 7 6000U.
6800. Yeah, 6800.
6800. Okay.
Yeah, I think I went up to the next higher model because I think it had more buses or something. But anyway, that's what I see. And okay, I have three air spies and a Hydra on this machine. And the Hydra right now is idle, but you'll see it's stuck on the same bus as one of the Air Spies. Well, these Air Spies have their own these are USB 2 devices. Even so, these things need to have their own buses because they produce a steady stream of about 240 megabits. So you really can't have more than one on a controller. But you can see
on
I
a
have
USB on a USB 2 controller.
Yeah, right. And you can see
2.
I have, so here's an empty bus up here. It's not doing anything, and this one's only got a couple of low speed devices on it. So why isn't it being distributed more evenly? I mean, this controller has 4 ports on it, but there's nothing else on it. Where does it go? How do I get to it?
Yeah, I think that is a Linux or BIOS mystery.
Yeah.
I can't.
Now the USB 3 ports. I mean, there's one here marked 10,000.
Yeah.
There's another one 10,000, 5,000, and 10,000, and 10,000. Look, I mean, there's all these high-speed buses, but how do I get to them? Well, this one says 0P, so this is a bus with no ports. I guess it means. So it's a mystery to me right now. I don't know how. And this may turn out to be an Achilles heel of these small mini, small PCs. The bigger machines with buses, you can put on extra cards and controllers, and then you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You know how many controllers you got. You know which controllers the connectors are going to, and also which PCI buses they're going to, or how many PCI lanes they're all using. But it's a much bigger box, and the convenience of these smaller boxes is really nice, especially since I have several of them in my rack. And they're quiet too.
Yeah.
Acoustically, they're quiet.
By the way, Elmer educated me about some issues that I was completely unaware of, really, today. Is that you should really be careful to isolate electrically isolate the 888 from the B-Link chassis, separate them so they're not touching each other.
Well, no, much, but I also have all the cables run through several turns through a core.
Well, that's it. Yeah. I don't know if Elmer. I don't know if you found that really.
There are other opportunities for ground loops in the reference input, the antenna. So.
Well, there's inevitably ground loops, but apparently, according to Elmer, that just whatever else you do, if you stick the 888 directly on top of the B-Link, you'll add a whole bunch of RFI.
I can believe that. This machine, which I'm calling Lisa, is running 3 Air Spies that are doing my VHF, UHF, FM monitoring. As you can see, I mean, there's plenty of CPU cycles. I mean, 85% idle, running 3 instances, 240 megabits each.
Yeah, that's
but I keep running into problems with the USB. The USB turns out to be my bottleneck, so it's kind of frustrating.
I don't. I guess it's a problem with you need something that like a USB-C hub that can translate from USB 2 to.
I mean, I could just buy every one Amazon's got and test them all, but I mean, if somebody knows, I mean, I'm willing to buy an expensive hub if it'll do exactly what I want. It should have a USB-C plug that goes into the host, and it should give me a whole bunch of totally independent outputs that go into separate logical buses, or somehow get multiplexed. I don't know enough about USB to really know what I'm looking for. I just want.
I don't either. Yeah.
This one's got a lot of channels on it, but still plenty of idle CPU. But it is a problem.
Yeah, it's well, I can't do much help. I haven't had a chance to pursue the USB stuff. All I know is that I think Elmer and Uli's doing a lot of experimentation with this because he wants to. He's in Belgium and electricity is expensive, and he's got he has usually 7 or 8 antennas. So he's really wants to minimize the number
There
of
are
services.
fleet leaders. These guys are fleet leaders. They usually find problems before the rest of us.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
Now this is the other one I have running Radio D. This one has the RX 888 on HF, and it has a Phobos listening to VHF airband. It's running at a higher sample rate, so it's using more of the CPU, but still there's plenty of CPU left.
Yeah, well, the issue here is I don't think I think I've told you before that it isn't, it's the number of threads running on one core.
Yeah.
Or shifting between cores.
Well, I mean, if you look at the utilization of each core, it's well below 100%. Therefore, thread allocation is not an issue, at least on this one machine.
Yeah,
the symptom of that would be that one of the threads is getting pushed to what appears to be 100% CPU utilization, and it runs behind.
Well, you taught me to use the thread mode.
Yes, this is the thread mode.
That's the thread mode.
I always use thread mode.
Yeah, I always use thread mode.
That's why you see the descriptors on each of these. I mean, if I didn't use the
yes, of course. Yes, I can see that you have. Yeah, although it looks like I've okay, maybe not in these, on some OSs, there will be a proc thread that is the sum of 2 other threads.
Yes,
so
I noticed that. That's an artifact.
There's an artifact where
I think that's an artifact, and it appeared suddenly in one version. And it really had me going for a while. I mean, why is this thing running at 99.9? Something's wrong. I never do that. And I went looking until I realized that it was just an artifact pop command.
Yeah, if you actually looked at the PID associated with it, you'd see that the PID was duplicated on 2 lines, the radio D, and that clued me in. In your case, you have well, you've got a Phobos PID, and you've got 2.
One thing by the way, I point out, and this has been true for a while. Notice the priority column.
I saw that.
6. So the the input and FFT threads are being run at the very highest priority.
Yeah.
With a few left, just in case I need to insert something else. But the channel threads are running at actually 50 for some reason. This schedule subtracts 1, but
well, the thing I'm running,
run first.
Yeah, the thing I'm running into, and I think we've talked about this before, is that that I'd run out of that if you run QWeb, that your code spawns the thread, the spectrum thread associated with it, ends up being in the same pool. So I think one of the next highest priority almost when I get back to working on the client is I'm gonna someplace stick a daemon in that monitors your thread assignments, what cores they're assigned to, and maintains, reassigns them and make sure they're assigned in a optimal way. I think that's the right architectural solution, because I don't think you have any way of knowing what other things are running and demanding CPU. I don't think it's your job to do that.
This is my latest multi-channel monitoring effort. This is VHF airband. As you can see, it's pretty busy. This is the Rig Expert Phobos because it has a wider bandwidth than an AirSpy. All the ones that use the UHF TV digital TV tuners are limited to about 8.5 megahertz of instantaneous bandwidth, while airband runs from the voice part runs from 118 to 137. So the Phobos can grab the whole thing at once.
You could use a Kiwi, down convert to a Kiwi, or that would. Glenn has done that, has a down converter. Well, there's lots of them, but you can down convert into the
How would a Kiwi help? It only can handle about half a dozen channels.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. Well, you could feed it into down convert and feed it into a baseband on the input of the 888, and you get 60 megahertz view.
I had some guy write me a month or so ago from Philadelphia saying he had discovered my stuff and he's into monitoring airband. He's the guy who got me trying this myself. He says this is really exciting because I've got the best AM squelch he's ever seen, and that's the problem with running large airband monitor sites. Well, this is because I spent all that time working on noise estimation. Otherwise,
Yeah.
squelches are really hard to do. Hard reliably. So he says it's worked the best he's ever seen. He's really excited. He's going to get back into it because he kind of given up in frustration before. So that's kind of fun. That got me been trying airband around here. As you know, there's a lot of it. And actually, I'm not just listening to all the voice channels. I also threw ACARS decoders and all because I don't know which ones are ACARS frequencies. So there's quite a bit of that too. And again, the machine just has plenty of cycles left.
It's amazing.
If it's not for the USB, these things can just keep handling more and more load. Channel count, modulator count, all that. At least with the exception of Whisper, of course.
Yeah, it's a CPU hog.
Also, to cut down I/O bandwidth, one thing I do, and I wish people would do when they're not doing digital decoding, is to use Opus as their default. But the bit rate is so much lower. I mean,
it would be
several hundred kilobits to handle a voice band audio mono signal.
Well, you need to talk to Wayne. Wayne is doing we need to, I think that the Q web stuff would become more useful.
Yeah, there is a bug in the web thing, and that it assumes that the channel defaults to 16-bit PCM, and the audio streaming won't work if the channel defaults to Opus. I work around that by just running a monitor locally to listen to the stream locally instead of listening it through the web. But it's a bug that eventually ought to be fixed because I'd like to encourage more people to use Opus as their standard output format, except when going to a decoder.
Yeah, well, that's Clint had suggested even APCM would be
why use something? I mean, we got such better coders now. Why not just I think these two are just fine. They cover all the important use cases.
The only thing I say about ADPCM is that it's extremely lightweight and it doesn't have temporal distortion in case somebody on the WebSDR wants to run a digital mode through it.
Okay.
I mean, like the depends on, but the ones that are like FFT based, sometimes it will just totally mangle a digital mode. Maybe you get something that's highly I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you put up a publicly accessible WebSDR, people are going to run digital modes through it. And
what you got to do is you got to make sure you support every digital mode they're ever likely to want.
Well, no, either that or you have either that or use a codec that doesn't care.
Well, PCM.
Right, exactly my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about it. That's the thing. I mean, yeah. So
ADPCM was a great hack back in the day when we couldn't do anything better for voice, but it definitely has artifacts. I mean, I worked with it back in the late 70s.
Right, but its main artifact is that the signal and noise ratio is degraded. But then HF is all about the degraded signal and noise ratio.
Well, degraded, especially at higher frequencies when the slope can't keep up with the
right.
Yeah. Wasn't a slope overload. And it was clever for its day. It's one of the simplest compressing waveform encoders you can think of, but we have much better now. I mean, look at the data rate used here. I mean, the rate column here, that's the bit rate per channel. I mean, there's no way I could be streaming this over Wi-Fi if it were PCM.
Right. Yeah, I mean, your use case, you don't give a care, but
if I'm listening, use Opus. Yeah, if it's digital, use PCM.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. You have to on the Utah SDR, we'd love to use a more efficient codec that would support stuff, in digital modes, but they're not yet. I mean, yeah, I know what you mean.
The only drawback to Opus is that it does use more CPU on the compression side, and that runs in the channel thread context of KNIQ radio. Now, still, it's only a few percent of the CPU at the most, but if you've got a lot of active channels at once, you might have a CPU loading problem, might need a bigger CPU.
Right. Yeah, for like if you were to be archiving these things, to a file.
I do archive them.
Yeah, then this is fine. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
I used to record wave and then have a second job to come back and compress it to Opus, which sort of worked, but it was very flaky. It would crash and then the disk would rapidly fill up with wave files that weren't being deleted.
Right.
which would gobble up disk space really, really quickly. This has made things much easier. I mean, a large part of KNIQ radio was an experiment in multicasting and modularity. And I started at a very purist end of the line, and I wanted to see how far I could take it. Remember at the very beginning, Rob, I had a separate daemon handling the front end, which multicast the entire front end stream.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't last very long. I abandoned that as soon as we had the RX 888 because there's no way I was going to stream that over gigabit Ethernet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've also realized that wasn't all that useful anyway. There's very few occasions in which I really need to have multiple copies of KNIQ radio listening to a common front end. I would rather just have KNIQ radio do the demultiplexing rather than doing it multiple levels.
Yeah. Well,
and then again, I on the output side, multicasting I think has been a big win there. But I started at the purest end of the spectrum by having everything come out as PCM and then use a separate transcoder to convert to Opus when needed. That kind of worked too, but it's complicated, especially with metadata. So I still have that, but it's kind of deprecated. It's easier just to fold the codec in. So I'm being less purist about being totally modular with everything. But still, this is an experiment to see, modularity versus integration. It's been an interesting experiment.
Yeah. But by the way, Phil, I don't know if you noticed last week, I did upgrade Whisper Demon, so I'm now anybody who does a get pull gets code that updates
I got to
to your
reinstall
latest.
it because I don't think I'm running it right now since I retired the machine you were running it on.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I implemented it so you can users could go back and forth from your old code where you had everything in one directory where the root directory did to the new where you have the SRC subdirectory. So you can get pull commits and I got get to clean up the environment so that the file trees look right depending upon it. Okay, Elmer, did you have something? Are you taking off?
No, I was just waving bye to everybody that's bailing.
Okay. People bailing out as we start to talk about the internals of Radio D. So, okay,
it's working better. I mean, that's that's something.
Everything's working. Did you? We had discussed, I think, last week about incorporating Scott's.
No, I still haven't
Tab.
And I've been very, very slow getting back up to speed again. But
that's okay. Just
that,
there's nobody has really suffered this very often, but I hate to see some useful work dropped. I think it could probably just become the default, and I'll let you know if we encounter any problems with Scott's new code.
Yeah, well, I haven't really done any changes myself, so there aren't going to be too many conflicts to resolve.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I did my first push in several weeks this afternoon. All I was doing was updating the git ignore file.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're when you get into it, if you could try updating to Scott's version of for the driver, and just comment that in your commit, and we'll know that that's part of what we install. So it would be it's just one of those lurking things. There's a
Well, I gave branching a try. I gave it an honest try and I realized why I don't like it. So
I mean, according to my son, who does a lot of getting at Apple, the only reason to branch is if you want to do a release. The branch is a release, not a development tree. You should be doing it.
In other words, you never merge them again.
Yeah, well, that's you can merge. If you branch, put your commit on, you put your release on that, and then if you need to make a change on that because there's a bug, then you have relatively small changes to merge back into the main trunk.
I guess. And so far, I think your method has worked well. It's just a linear series of commits, and you just pick one that works.
Yeah, that's what I've worked as.
And I don't have to worry about breaking your stuff by more commits that I make.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you just move forward after you test each one.
Yeah, that's worked really well, and that's what I think. I think Wayne has adopted that methodology too for the QWeb.
long as you guys keep up eventually.
Well, eventually I catch up. And it took me, as you can see, it took me a month or something before I had time to do the catch up to your latest code. I mean, I couldn't tell any difference. I don't know that there were any features there.
I try not to leave things in a broken state. I have done that, and even if it's the middle of the night, I rapidly try to fix it before I go to bed. I'm not going to leave it knowing broken.
Me too. I've checked in. I've done a commit on broken code, and you know, and my users tend to be pretty forgiving. So it's one other thing that we were going to do with your code was Elmer was talking about moving away from the 27 megahertz external clock, and I think. Sorry?
To what?
Well, to some higher frequency that's outside of the range that we're listening to.
That would actually be nice for everything, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I also recall that you had suggested that there were the better sample rates than the 129 point.
Well, given the 27 megahertz rate that we're using, yeah, I'm now using 120. I'm using 126.
You're using 126 exactly? Is that
exactly? Because that works out that I'm using it's an integer multiplier as well as divider. The SI 5351 takes the reference and multiplies up to something to produce a VCO, and then it divides down for the output. One is a fractional n divider. And 129.6, the output is integer, but the PLL multiplier is not. So I did a search looking for those that were both integers and also
integer divider
sizes on a 27 megahertz reference, and that's the one that came out.
Okay.
It's really the only one.
Okay, but could you suggest an external clock someplace it need to be below 100 megahertz, probably below the FM band?
Oh, you mean for reference?
For external clock input.
Well, wait a minute. Will the SI chip work there though?
Yes, the SI will work up to 100, but you have to. Yes, it will. But if you go above 40 megahertz, you have to program a divider on the external clock input.
That's right. Yeah,
and Franco added that capability to the driver a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think I briefly tried out a higher clock rate, and somehow it didn't seem to work for me. And I think Elmer at one point tried just a direct feeding 66 points, the Kiwi's clock into the 888 and programming the 888 appropriately. And that worked even without the 5351 divider instruction. But we were outside of the 5351 spec at that point. Because if the external clock is above 40 megahertz, you're supposed to turn on the 5351's external clock input divider. Right. And we weren't doing that. So I didn't pursue it, but I think we see, you put in the code that suppresses, right?
That's just I don't like that. Have to do that.
So I think a better solution, a cleaner solution, would be to pick a good external clock frequency, one above the Nyquist limit, and
above Nyquist to be ideal.
Yeah, put it above Nyquist.
Once it doesn't alias back in.
Well. So we're assuming we have a good, clean, low pass filter on the input, which we will.
Are there not other mechanisms where it could get in and alias down?
Possibility. There's until we try it out. I don't think we. I think it looked cleaner when we were using the raw 66, as I recall. It looked clean. It's just that I wasn't going to make that
I would be very happy to get a weight. Well, the problem is everything else takes 10 megahertz.
Well,
I'm ready to split my VHF and UHF stuff, HF and VHF UHF stuff into separate racks because I just can't seem to get 10 megahertz out of my HF receiver.
Yeah,
10 megahertz is only used by the AirSpice for VHF and UHF.
You don't have any B and C floating around, do you?
BNCs?
Yeah, connectors.
Yeah, unfortunately, that seems to be the standard connector for replicating.
So bond them. Actually scrape and get down to brass on the bayonet part, and then go to the
I've noticed
physical
that they're
behind.
flaky.
And I bond them, and then with a piece of flexible wire,
Yeah.
short to both sides, and boy, does that greatly reduce the problem.
Did you actually solder it down?
Yep. Well, with a flexible piece, very short, so you can still bayonet it,
Yeah.
and it works.
Difficult to disconnect the cable all the way, but
No.
do you show me one?
Stand by. I'll go look.
All right, but I'm not sure I know what you mean.
I mean, this sounds. I mean, when
Yeah,
Elmer
BNCs.
told me about this morning, it's like, oh my God! I mean, KFS and KPH are filled with BNCs, and they're
Yeah.
old. They're very. I mean, these
Yeah,
are
and I
50
noticed
and
it's
60
wiggling
years old.
sometimes. Yeah, wiggling can it's obvious that I mean, they're convenient. They don't break your fingers like SMA does, but if they're not good connectors, they're not good connectors.
And plus, I think Clint has said this forever, and Elmer repeated it to me independently. You've got to tighten down your SMAs. They have to be
Oh, I
tighter than
do.
finger tight,
I
tighter
have a
than finger
torque
tight.
wrench. I have a torque
Yeah.
wrench designed for SMA, but it's too
Yeah.
high. I mean, if you do it just once in a lifetime, the connector, that's probably okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just took my system off the air, but that's okay.
All right, sorry.
Let's see. I
I thought
you need to talk for me.
1 2
Elmer.
1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2
You're out of focus.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh, that's what you meant.
So I
Oh,
got out of brass.
I
Look at
see.
that. Oh, you're
And
thought
I
you
tell
meant
you what,
around.
it really kills a problem.
Because
Just
right there,
remember,
it's just a
BNCs have two different types, 50 and 75. Make sure the pins are right too.
that I do know. Yeah, I do know that. Yeah.
Well, the other thing, the one thing I have noticed though on BNCs of Chinese manufacture, the center pins, the leaves that connect on the inside of the connector are flat, not bowed outwards. So they do not make connection. That is supposed to be the only connection that matters on a BNC. But if it's making connection on the outside part, then the internal leaves are not correct. I just ran across this a couple days ago, where the BNC was flaky. I did is stick my nerd knife in there and bend them out a little bit, and then it was unflaky.
So you're saying you don't like Elmer's fix?
Well, it doesn't. It might fix it, but it doesn't fix what the problem is. The real problem is just
Yeah,
there's
that
no way.
I've done. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you look at a genuine Amphenol, and you notice that the BNC leaves on the inside ground are bowed upwards a little bit.
Should be.
They should be, but the cheap Chinese ones are absolutely flat, and they don't make contact
I noticed
with the
that.
inside
Yeah.
of the BNC connector at all, and that is where it's supposed to be made. I mean, end
Yeah.
connectors are similar in the sense that when you tighten them down, it bottoms out on the inside.
Yeah.
And part of the constant impedance part. If the internal leaves do not make contact, then you're violating the whole idea of a constant impedance connector.
Yeah, because I wouldn't think of those two little pins as actually carrying current. They're supposed to be just mechanical.
Yeah, they're supposed to be mechanical only. I mean, they're supposed to be mechanical only. I mean, I've seen it where people with test equipment have cut away the B part of the bayonet part of the BNC and just have them pushed in and out. Just things that they connect and disconnect all the time, and that should
work. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not mechanically rugged, but what they want is they're putting things and pulling them out, and they want quickness, and they don't care about other things. But yeah. But
I think this could be a real problem at KFS. I mean, where there are all of these BNC connectors, and I believe there's a daisy chain of BNC connectors from upstairs to downstairs. I mean, this is KFS. So I'm
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking. I have a genuine silver plated something or other. I don't know who made it. It's has a UG number on it. But
Connectors
anyway,
are old. Didn't they date from like just after World War II or even during World War II?
Well, I don't know when Neil and Conkelman did their thing. I have a call.
That's right. That's what the name stands for. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Neil is the N and N connector, and Conkelman is the C and C connector.
I had originally heard it was Bayonet Navy connector, but I guess that was wrong. Yeah.
They both worked at Bell Labs, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but yeah, I've run across that quite frequently on BNC connectors. The other thing that'll flatten them too is if the connectors, like the classic example on flattening those leaves is BNC connector on a rubber duck antenna on a handy talkie.
Yeah.
Those will mash those leaves, and then the whole thing gets flaky and
Right.
and then crackle as you walk around.
Yeah.
You don't notice it on receive as much as other people on transmit half the time.
So what do you recommend as a quick fix?
Well, I mean, I just stick a jeweler's screwdriver in there and push them out.
Okay, so you're not actually bowing them, you're just bending them.
Right, and if they're hardly used much, if they're just there once. The other thing that can happen too, of course, if they're silver plated and they get really heavy oxide on them, just spinning the crap out of them a few times. If the connections are just to burnish them off again.
How good a conductor is silver oxide at RF?
It's not great, but it's a good point. I don't know.
Well, the silver that was on ICs we had analyzed, and they said it wasn't. It was actually a better conductor. Now that wasn't RF, but on the digital stuff we were doing.
Silver oxide's a better conductor than the metal?
Yeah, than the silver itself, apparently.
No,
That's what I got.
Hard to believe.
I don't think so. I mean, but the thing is it's infinitely better than almost anything else that oxidizes. There aren't
That's true. Yeah.
good let's see. Conductivity of silver oxide.
That's what makes it so good as a battery material too. Unfortunately, it's so expensive.
Right. Yeah, I'm just, although if you have a lot of if you have sulfur in your atmosphere, apparently
that's when it tarnishes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and in some cases it may not be as conductive as you would hope. I think there's something else that happens besides just.
Well, if it's sulfur, then it becomes silver sulfide, obviously.
Right. I think that's a problem.
It's silver sulfide, not silver oxide. Is what
Correct.
You're saying. Yeah.
Well, right, but silver oxide is okay. Let's see here.
But what you're saying is not silver oxide.
Right, but I don't think. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Silverware tarnishes when it's exposed to like hydrogen sulfide gas.
Right.
I think it actually tarnishes on its own by exposure to pure oxygen.
And in vehicles, I do remember reading about vehicles, silver in vehicles tarnishing quickly.
Oh yeah, at least before catalytic converters. And
right, or in diesels or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking here. I'm having trouble finding anything about the conductivity of silver oxide, which is weird. Oh, okay. So, I see. I just found another thing, but anyway, I'll look it up. But
this came up some years ago at the Allen Telescope Array when they were trying to reduce thermal, reduce the or increase the emissivity and reduce the absorptivity of. No, wait a minute. They were trying to reduce the emissivity, yes, of the antenna element inside of a vacuum bottle to reduce heat load from the outside, since the whole thing is chilled down with a cryocore. And my former boss at Qualcomm, who was the financial sponsor for all this, we got in a big discussion about whether it should be gold or silver. I argued for silver. He wanted gold. And he was paying for it, so he got gold. God, that was expensive, but he had the money. 42 of these elements, these little frosty Aggies for L band through X band. And I always argued that silver would actually work better, and he was concerned about getting tarnished. I argued all you had to do was keep it in a dry nitrogen atmosphere when you were storing it, and when it's in the bottles in a vacuum anyway.
Right, I was just thinking, yeah, if it's in an oxygen-deprived environment, it should be pretty good, yeah.
Sulfur-deprived environment, but
that's true, yeah.
But I think silver is actually better than gold in terms of reflectivity. I mean, gold has a color, right? So
and conductivity, of course.
Yeah, and silver is the best. Although actually silver is not that much better than copper, is it? Better, but not by that much. And
no. I mean, it's yeah, you're right.
They're both better than gold.
But oxidized copper is pretty terrible.
Yeah. But gold is worse than both of them. And I would think certainly when you plate an antenna, all of the current's going to go through the surface plating.
Right.
So what that is matters a lot.
Right.
So it might as well be silver if you can keep it nice and shiny. But we never actually tested it. He just went ahead and splurged for gold plating.
I mean, unless it was really thick, it shouldn't have needed that much, but just getting it done would be expensive.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The irony is that you're now going to a new type of antenna element that doesn't require either one. You spend all that money on those antennas. And, oh, well, that happens in technology.
So I'm just looking at the resistivity. Silver is 1.59, blah, blah. And copper is 1.68, and gold is 2.44, and aluminum is 2.65.
Wait a minute. What are the, is that resistivity or conductivity?
Resistivity. And ohms per
ohms per meter.
Correct, right. And then I'm just looking here. I mean, you often see nickel plating, that's 7.
Yeah, it's not as good, but it's cheap and it doesn't corrode easily.
Well, I don't know. You've probably had the experience of soldering to nickel. It doesn't solder until you scrub it.
Yeah, well, nickel probably has a protective oxide coating on it.
Yeah, it must. It must. It doesn't look like it. It's not like aluminum, which instantly tarnishes. But
yeah,
I'm just looking here. Yeah. Now you got me curious as what's stainless steel. Okay, well, I don't know.
That's very bad.
Austenitic or non-austenitic, but it's 69, so it's literally 10 times worse than nickel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ran across that. I have some QRP antennas, and they used stainless steel wire for the loading coils. Wolf River did some of that too for some of their coils, and that improves the match because if you have, say, a short antenna that's feed port resistance is ideally like 15 ohms including losses. If you add 15 more ohms because of R, then wow, it only matches to like 1.2 to 1.
Right.
But it gets hot.
Okay, here's the table I see on Wikipedia. Conductivity in Siemens per meter for silver is 63 times 10 to the 6, copper 59.6, which is not much worse.
No.
Gold 41.1, that's significantly worse than both.
Yeah.
And aluminum is worse than that. So gold is, I guess, its main advantage is it doesn't corrode. Other than that, it's not a great conductor.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and if you're able to say paint or varnish copper to keep it from oxidizing in whatever application it is, that's great. But
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good, and it might do you well. It doesn't do you a whole lot of good on, say, a cavity plunger where you're trying to metal on metal.
You know what probably worked well in the old days, but you wouldn't want to do anymore is mercury wetting.
Oh yeah,
mercury's not a great conductor. Look, it's down at the bottom of the table. It's
worse than stainless steel.
Yeah, but it has this wiping action. I mean, mercury wetted relays.
Right.
Had a bunch of those.
I used those. I've used mercury wetted relays in anger before.
Yeah.
But
they used to be a lot more common.
Yeah, they were used in the phones, in telephone switches, weren't they?
Yeah, I used them for early on. I think keying up my transmitter.
Right.
Rather, yeah, I got bit a few times on the key on my DX20 because it keyed the cathode directly, and there was a rather large voltage across the contacts. Key up. I think I put in a keying relay and solved that problem.
Yeah, my first novice transmitter in '82 was a homebrewed tube type crystal controlled transmitter.
Yeah, this was 71.
Because as a teenager I couldn't afford, I could afford a receiver but not a fancy transmitter, and that's what I used.
I couldn't really afford either one, but
yeah.
Okay, how many times did you burn your lips when you got the grid voltage on your lips because the microphone was hot?
Well, this was a CW transmitter.
CW on the key. I mean, you're supposed to connect the key so that the key itself, the key frame is ground, but the contact under the key, that's going to be hot when the key is up.
Yeah.
And at least in my transmitter, it opened up the cathode circuit of the final tube. So there was a pretty good voltage on that cathode when the key was up.
Yeah, 60 to 100, depending on what the cutoff.
Yeah.
Cutoff was. Yeah.
It was enough to shock you.
Oh yeah.
Or at least be unpleasant. So no, the burn on the one from the microphone is usually due to RF.
Because you've somehow arranged it so that your radio chassis was part of the antenna.
Right.
Which is any type of offset
Right.
off-center dipole.
Right. And the only kind of antenna I could put up when I was a kid was a random long wire. So you can imagine, yes, I had that problem.
I did too. Random long wire that went over, and I had a second-story bedroom, so my ground was really part of the antenna.
I was in the basement, but still getting really good, clean, short ground was difficult.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Oh, calcium is a really good conductor.
Not as good as the others, but yeah. It's
but you don't see elemental calcium in the environment in the wild much.
Not often.
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's safer when you throw in water, though. It's if you want to generate hydrogen quickly, it's a safe way.
Yeah.
It won't explode like sodium does.
Well,
I'm going to depart all.
All right. See you, Elmer.
Oh, rhodium. That's on the list too. I've seen rhodium's also used sometimes for wear resistant because it's so hard. You see it on electrical contacts.
Right.
So it's not always the conductivity that matters. It's the the mechanical hardness and the resistance to oxidation.
And cadmium plating was used, or some sort of cadmium plating was used on finger stock all the time.
Yeah, I guess that's not done anymore.
Not really, no. Although you still see cadmium. My understanding is they still use cadmium to protect aluminum in aircraft.
Really?
In some sort of surface treatment.
From what? Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Right. I mean, water, like inside wings and stuff, where water might accumulate, condensation.
Yeah, toxicity is not as big an issue.
Right, you're not licking them. I mean, it's kind of like asbestos. If you leave the stuff alone, it's probably
leave it alone. It's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's true for a lot of things.
Yeah. If you pick it, it'll bleed.
Even the radioactive stuff is often just left alone. Better left alone.
Yeah.
Well, the wire you see out on electrical power wire on the poles is it's not solid aluminum. It's usually aluminum around steel.
Right. Skin effect depth at
60 hertz. Even at 60 hertz.
Yeah, it's something on the order of like 6 millimeters.
Yeah, even at 60 hertz, it matters.
Yes.
That blew my mind when I first learned that.
Yeah, we have. I wonder. I wonder. I guess they would still have to for strength, but I wonder if the conductor is, say, on the Utah IPP power plant, which sends the 500 kilovolts DC from Delta down to somewhere near Silmar. I don't think it is Silmar, but
yes, I've seen the end of it. Yeah.
Right. That I
Not
wonder.
Silmar, it's Adelante.
Right. Silmar is the one that comes from Oregon.
From the Columbia River. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I wonder if that's a different ratio of aluminum?
I wonder, that's a good question. I mean, pure aluminum is just too weak, and I'm pretty sure electrical conductors use pure aluminum. They don't use aluminum alloys. Most alloys have higher resistance than the pure stuff.
I've driven under that power line and watched the compass. It goes wee.
Yeah, I'll try to do it next time I go to Vegas, because you cross under that line several times as you go from California to Nevada on 15.
Right.
It's that same line. It goes up to central Utah.
I drove down the highway toward I was driving to Tucson, and east of the Palos Verdes power plant, and I know at one point they were talking about there being a megavolt DC line, but I looked for a DC line and I didn't spot one. So,
well, there's another one besides those two. There might be newer ones. I don't know of them.
well, yeah, I don't know. I was looking for the telltale two conductors and a
Right.
ground wire, but I didn't see one when driving. I saw
No, I
a
haven't
ton of
either.
power lines across the road, but I didn't see the
No.
even number of big conductor version.
Kind of surprised that there hasn't been more, because it's about the only way you can get more capacity through an existing line. I know methods for converting AC lines to DC. Maybe that's being done. We just don't know because they look the same.
Well, they have fewer conductors.
Well, if you can still convert an existing three-phase AC line to DC.
Oh, I see.
Even if all you have are three conductors, one way to do it is you take the center conductor and you alternately connect it between the two phases.
Right. Yeah, they could have done that.
So, you wait for the other wire to get too hot, and then you flip the middle phase over to parallel it for a while, let it cool down while the other one gets hot, and you go back and forth.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
That was a clever idea.
Yeah, switching something like that seems like a nightmare to me, but whatever.
Well, I mean, we know how to time things nowadays, and the switching does not have to be very fast.
Right.
I
But
mean, it
just
can be
doing it.
minutes.
Yeah, just doing it though,
You just make sure the two ends are properly synchronized. Yes, that would be important.
right. Well, it's not like you can do zero crossing on DC.
Exactly. That's the other practical problem with DC is it's very difficult to interrupt. Circuit breakers are a lot harder for DC, and they're hard enough for AC.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main reasons why there's now a detectable amount of sulfur hexafluoride floating around in the atmosphere.
Yeah. It's not its only use, but it's probably the biggest use is in circuit breakers.
Yeah.
It used to be used, or maybe still is used, as a cover gas for smelting magnesium.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, you obviously need a cover gas if you're going to melt magnesium.
Yeah, and I guess carbon dioxide wasn't good enough for them.
No, have you seen the demonstrations where you take burning magnesium, put it in dry ice, and it continues to burn?
I guess it disassociates the.
Yes, it rips the oxygen right out of the CO2. And when you open it up, it's all black for the displaced carbon.
Okay. Oh, yeah. But if it wasn't burning, I mean, just as a cover gas in the smelt. Well, I guess it.
Well, but once it ignites, it's not going to put it out.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So the reason I knew this is because I was reading up on Vicane, sulfuryl fluoride, which is used to fumigate houses for termites here. I've had my house done a couple of times now. It's the standard way of doing it.
Which chemical?
Sulfuryl fluoride, trade name Vicane.
Oh, okay.
Used for drywood termites, at least in California and Hawaii, I think. I don't know about Utah or Nevada, but it has been used experimentally, or maybe production now, as a replacement for sulfur hexafluoride, because it's quite unreactive and it's heavier in air, but is not as nasty to the
it's not
greenhouse gas inducing, yeah. Although it's obviously more toxic.
Right. I just never heard of it, so I don't know what they use around here. I mean,
SO2F2.
Okay, SO2F2. Okay, yeah, we used to. I mean, years ago they used to use chloridane, but of course, like any chloridane, whatever.
No.
Yeah, and then the stuff that I've seen them use now is one of the Oh, what? Is the stuff that I've seen them use around here. The last time I looked was just a what was it? Wasn't Safari. It was some stuff. I could look it up. Anyway,
It's not sulfur fluoride, not Vicana.
no, yeah.
It's particularly used in warm weather portions of the Southwest and Southeast and in Hawaii. Well, maybe you're not considered warm weather.
Well, we do have plenty of termites around here. Depending on where you are, there's a lot of places around here that had been orchards.
Yeah.
And then even decades after the orchards have gone away, people's houses are still being chewed up with termites.
Well, termites are endemic.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it replaced methyl bromide, which is well, any bromides are even worse than chlorides and chlorinated hydrocarbons for the ozone layer.
Right. Let's see here.
Yeah, I don't like this stuff, but it's the only way to get rid of your only really effective way to get rid of everything in your house,
Right. I'm just trying to think. Yeah.
including mice.
Oh, well, yeah.
Although they'll come back if you let them.
Well, I have cats, so.
Well, you don't leave your cats in the house when they're being fumigated.
True. But mice. Talking about the mouse part.
Yeah, when our house was last fumigated, neighbors saw they saw mice running out from under the tarp. Although I think they've been since come back.
Your house must be one of the. It must have a. Does it have a crawl space or something?
No, it's built on a slab like almost every house in Southern
Okay. It's a ranch style ish things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why we don't have basements here because land is certainly precious enough that I could sure to use one. Of course, I would just fill it up with more junk.
Yeah, the houses here in Utah are built with in northern Utah are built with basements.
Are they older?
Not even the new ones.
Oh.
I mean, but we also, depending on where you are, we can also have a whole lot of radon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem in the East. My parents had a radon abatement pump, although I think they were being a little overly cautious.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's also that's also a way to separate people from a lot of money too, because
Yeah.
um,
My mom was a bit of a radiation phobe.
right. I mean, one of the common ways to do it is they would just knock a hole in the slab and put essentially a muffin fan, just
That's right.
ordinary wimpy muffin fan to pull just that much negative pressure, and that's enough. But there was a group around here in Utah a few years ago that was going around knocking on people's doors, telling them that for a mere $1,500 they could rid them of the scourge of radon, which they were for sure having, even
Yeah.
without testing. And people would buy it. It made the news and everything. And 1,500, and all it really was is just a noisy fan and
Yeah.
everything was badly installed and everything like
Yeah.
that. So
Well, our house had a basement in Maryland. It had a basement, and it was at a fairly low elevation, so it was subject to flooding until my dad put in drain tiles, or I guess they're probably something like French drains. I was too young
yeah,
to remember that. And then a sump pump in the basement, and that's where they put the radon pump was right over the sump because that's the
yeah,
logical place for it to come out.
yep. But even the smallest fan will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much. The radon itself, it can't come out by itself. It needs a carrier gas. And it's typically helium or carbon dioxide or methane. Because the radon otherwise would decay too fast. It would never make its way out of the ground before it got into your house if it was just radon.
Yeah, it's super heavy, obviously.
Well, and it would be nothing to carry. There's so little of it. It's carried in whatever gases are down there, probably methane or helium.
Right.
I mean, think about it, right? If there's radon, there's going to be helium too, right?
What I see what you did
Have
there,
to.
helium too, right?
Yeah, the helium, it has to coexist with
Yes.
radon.
Yeah, as a well, yeah, as a what alpha or beta?
Yeah, it's an alpha particle that have had electrons restored to it.
Right.
And it's not just because of the radium, it's everything that leaves there. Radium, remember, is in the decay chain for uranium.
Yeah.
So uranium and thorium. So there's a whole bunch of alpha decays before you even get the radon.
Yeah. And we have we certain parts of Utah are known for their uranium.
Do you have natural gas mines there?
Yeah.
Do they mine helium from them?
The ones in Wyoming, they did or do. I don't know if they made most of them. Well, my understanding is that most of the helium has been mined already.
Yeah, originally it came from like Oklahoma and Texas.
Well, there were some extremely rich producing helium mines. I remember reading one time that there were mines, there were not mines, natural gas wells that would produce more than 10% helium.
Yeah.
In Wyoming, and things like that were the only ones that were that one, back when, were the only ones that were commercially viable for separating. And nowadays they're a whole lot more careful. So in Utah proper, most of our natural gas comes out of the basin that's kind of by the town of Vernal, and most of that's fracking. If
Yeah,
fracking. I don't think I haven't heard that there's much helium in that, but I do know that there's a whole lot more carbon dioxide in that than there was in the Wyoming gas.
Already existing carbon dioxide or carbon dioxide we pump down there?
No, carbon dioxide that was in the well with the
natural. Okay.
Right, natural. Yeah, I mean, we used to have the specific heat energy of like 0.94 if you look at your gas bill.
Yeah.
Whatever. And now it's like 0.8 something.
Yeah.
So that we get charged on whatever the heat.
Yeah, heat value. Yeah.
Right.
I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, it would, because I mean it's a mixture of methane and ethane and propane and other things, so it would vary with that too.
Right. In fact, I think the Public Service Commission made them put in a carbon dioxide removal plant, which I don't know what they did with the carbon dioxide, but because they were on there was sort of a scare campaign about 15 years ago where the we're adding more carbon dioxide and your furnace won't work with this new mix. You better get it checked out. And
come on, small amounts of carbon dioxide should be harmless.
Well, I mean, it might make it more. I mean, you might get a little bit better efficiency if you were to readjust your air mixture, perhaps.
True. Yeah.
But I mean, but they were making it sound like your furnace would quit working or become dangerous, and finally, cooler heads prevailed and put a stop to that. And also the PSC, Public Service Commission, made them put carbon dioxide removal plants so that it wouldn't be so. There was,
well, of course, it probably just gets dumped into the atmosphere anyway.
I don't know. There are industrial uses for it, of course.
Sure.
So I'm guessing they must have done something with that.
I think the supply exceeds the demand.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can only drink so much soda here.
The fizzy drinks, and then it ends up in the atmosphere anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd heard of some of the ways of sequestering carbon dioxide by pumping underground, but they seem kind of silly. I mean, there's just too much of it.
We actually have 2 cold water geysers here that pop out fizzy water, carbon dioxide water.
Oh, they're pressurized by CO2, not
natural. Yeah. Both of them were exploratory oil wells. One of them that's publicly reachable is near the town of Green River, Utah, on the banks of the Green River, as you could imagine.
Was there any oil there, or was it just gassy water?
That particular one is gassy water, but there is some oil there. There is some oil there, but you don't see much.
you still see it around California. I drive up like 101 in the Coastal Valley. There's lots of oil wells.
Well,
Not
one
running.
one thing that shocked me is a year or so ago, I drove down to the Dallas Fort Worth area for the eclipse, but the highway between I-20 and Lubbock, Texas, in Texas, there's about a 10-20 mile stretch where the place absolutely reeks of crude oil.
Yep.
I mean it is almost eye-watering.
Yeah, but windmills are an eyesore,
Well, yeah, and there are a shit ton of windmills there too.
Yeah, right.
In the same area.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was actually shocked at how strong it was. I mean, through that whole area. But yeah, it
Yeah,
can.
well, it hasn't been cleaned up yet, right? It's still got whatever sulfur's in it.
Yeah, I mean I mean it's yeah. I mean it. I'm old enough to remember when you would drive by a oil refinery and just smell all these different things, all these different chemicals, just the heavy
Yeah.
vapors and all that.
Oh, I know.
That's what it reminded me of. Through that whole area. Just, I mean, they were obviously aromatics just
Yes.
the place.
And when I lived in New Jersey, I remember one night coming home and smelling gas, and I was checking all over the house until I went outside and I realized I was smelling it all around outdoors too. What had happened was that there was a methyl mercaptan leak in Elizabeth, New Jersey, which is like 20 miles away.
Oh,
Um, that stuff is potent.
right around the time of the Olympics, there was 3 or 4 times the downtown Salt Lake office buildings were evacuated because of a gas leak. And what it turned out was they never did figure out who did it, but they figure somebody was must have been spraying methyl mercaptan upwind of downtown Salt Lake.
As a prank.
We don't. Nobody got caught, but it happened like 3 or 4 times, and it was just when they were who smelled it and when. They kind of did a map and they could kind of tell it originated from just some general area each time, but they never caught anybody. Yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, if you had a jar of methyl mercaptan, you could raise a lot of havoc.
Yes, you could.
You could empty
I
an
think
office.
there's some compounds even worse, but it's one of the worst.
Well, I mean, in the sense that if you went to the air intake of an office building, you could empty it in a big hurry.
Very.
Yeah, but you're right. There are worse smelling stuff. I mean, I think what Veritasium or one of those YouTube channels talked about an even worse smelling molecule that the involuntary reaction is just to puke your guts out.
Yeah.
No matter who you are.
Was it maybe Nile Red, that chemist who does all sorts of wild
stuff? He might have created some of that stuff.
Yeah, I think he did.
Right.
He went out to an island. I think he actually rented space on an island.
That's exactly right. He did, yes.
That's right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Ain't chemistry wonderful?
Yes.
And the human nose is exquisitely sensitive to sulfur compounds.
Some things, yeah. Most things with an SH radical, yes.
Yeah. And which I guess makes sense. But
a picture of a small cylinder of methyl mercaptan. Just that one cylinder could probably cause a lot of problems.
And they didn't odorize gas until there was a famous incident in Texas.
Yes.
Yeah. Just killed like 50, 60 children with a blow up. That was the 20s, I think.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but the rules
not as long ago as you might think.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least we don't have town gas anymore, which
carbon monoxide and hydrogen, yeah.
Or acetylene as well.
Acetylene, really?
Acetylene was commonly in those things too.
Oh, okay. Well, it's easy enough to make.
Yeah.
It's a good illuminating gas. I mean, it burns with a bright flame.
Right. Yeah, and I used to wonder, when I was little, you see old movies about somebody wanting to end it all by putting the head in the oven. It never made sense to me until I figured out that wasn't an electric oven, and it was town gas, and what town
Yeah,
gas.
it had carbon monoxide in it.
Yeah.
See the recent South Park where Cartman tries to kill himself, by putting a hose into the car, but he picks an electric car. He's sitting there the whole episode, nothing's happening.
Right, right.
Oh, bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just reading here about Vicane, and yeah,
Never seen this stuff?
never really seen it, but
Well, it's very common here. It's
I don't know that I can't say I remember seeing more than maybe one or two tented houses in my whole lifetime, and nothing recently.
Oh, they're very common around here because
Yeah.
you got to every time you sell, you pretty much have to do it.
Yeah, it just isn't a thing. It just isn't a thing. I mean,
Yeah.
apparently, my folks tell me it used to be more common back in the 40s and 50s. They'd like get carpet beetles or something
Yeah.
like that, and but just recently, I mean,
Well, it used to be done with methyl bromide, but of course
oh,
that's no longer allowed. So
right.
sulfur fluoride is it's odorless and colorless. So to warn people, you mix it with some chloropicrin, which is
Oh,
basically
okay.
tear gas.
Oh, okay.
I watched him do it. You don't want to be around very long after that's because they put it right in front of one of the large fans. They cover the house with tarps and then set up a bunch of very large fans that run continuously, and then put it down in a saucer right in front of the fan, one of the fans, so it vaporizes pretty quickly. But its purpose is to drive people out of the house if anybody happens to be there or go in.
I'm just reading about that here. Yeah. Apparently chloropicrin is itself a really bad thing, but yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Poison gas in World War I. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's after 9 here. I need to get off and do things.
8 here.
Anyway.
Anyway, good talk to you guys.
All right. See you.
Take care.
Yeah. Take care.
See you, Rob. See you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Bye.